Sounds awesome. I want what he's having. Wow. Isn't it awesome to be in church? I remember just, during the first couple of weeks of COVID, it was 3 months of COVID where we couldn't gather, and now we can gather. I think gathering is so important. I think gathering is our strength, actually. I think our strength is found in togetherness rather than isolation. As you know, we've been doing a series on Pilgrims of Hope, and over the last 2 weeks we've done a series called Pilgrims of Hope, Living in a Place of Healing. And we've spoken about that healing isn't just an event, healing is a place where we live. It's we dwell there. We dwell in this place where God comes in, heals us from what's going on in our life, heals memories, heals bodies, heals us so the situations that we've faced in our life, the issues that we've confronted, the catastrophes that have happened, He enables us to rise up out of the ashes into a place where we can live beyond that. Now, the first week I spoke and I brought out 3 keys. The first key is we need to believe that Jesus heals. If we don't believe Jesus heals, there's no way we can get healing from a source that can't heal. So the first question or the first key was we need to believe Jesus heals. The second key was we need to believe Jesus can heal me. It's making it personal. I know He can heal, but will He heal me? And the third key was that you are worth Him healing. That you are just as important as everybody else. You are worth Him healing. Then Meg spoke the second week and she spoke that we all need to want healing. And she spoke about that we need to pursue Jesus, the source of healing. He's the power source. For us, if we go to get power from a PowerPoint, we plug something in. We need to be plugged into Jesus, the source of healing. And the second point Meg had was that we need to know and read the Gospels because that is the life that Jesus lived. It talked about what He did in healing. And the third point she had, which I'm just about to get back here and see, it's you need to be prepared to let some things go. Some old habits, some things that stop us from connecting with Him, some thoughts, some relationships or stuff that stops us from seeing Jesus as our healer. Today, I wanted to continue on, this is the last one on the healing side, but I want to continue on and we understand God heals us, but now He calls us, every single one of us, to be healers. He calls us all to be healers of others. Not just to heal ourselves, but to be healers of others. What does that mean? I mean, can you see yourself as a healer? I mean, our job in our community and in our church is to be healers empowered by Jesus. He hasn't just called us to be healed, He's called us to be healers. Now, you mightn't call it healing, but we all do this in some areas. If we befriend people, we help people walk through issues. We help people walk through situations. We are healers. We just don't usually call it that. But I want to speak to you this morning about us being healers. Now, in Matthew chapter 10, verse 7 to 8, Jesus was talking to His disciples and He was saying to them, guys, when you go out and preach, when you go out and talk to people, I want you to do something very important. And in verse 8 He says this, He says, I want you to heal the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, cast out demons. Freely you have received, freely give. Think about that. He said, guys, when you go out, heal the sick, raise the dead, big ask, cleanse the lepers, cast out demons. Freely you have received, freely give. That's a big one, isn't it? See, if you haven't received from God, you can't give. You can't give what you haven't got. If you haven't received a level of healing in your life, you can't give healing. But it's out of those areas where God works on in our life and makes us and brings us to a level of healing, I am able then to, out of that place, be a healer for others. Wow. So what has God done in your life? And out of that place, you can bring that same life he has brought to you into others. Jesus said in John 14, verse 12, he said, "Truly, truly, I say unto you, he who believes in me, the works that I do, he shall do. And even greater works than I do, you will do, as I go to be with the Father." What does that mean? I mean, what's greater than what Jesus did? Jesus healed everyone of all their infirmities. He raised the dead. He cleansed the lepers. He loved everyone. How can we do greater than that? What do you think this is talking about? How can we do greater than Jesus? But this is what Jesus says in verse 12 here. That greater things than me, greater things you will do in my name as I go to be with the Father. What does that mean? Not rhetorical. What does that mean for us? How can we do greater? Think about it. Any ideas? Be obedient, being obedient. More faith. See, there was one Jesus. There was one Jesus going around healing people, wasn't there? There's nearly 90 people in this room. I hope there's not. There's 80 people or so in this room. Every one of us. Jesus is saying in John 14:12, we can do what he can do. So if 80 of us were doing that in this next week, we would be bringing healing to a whole community. Is that right? So how do you and I, how do we become healers? How do we be the healers that Jesus wants us to be? Because it's not something that we just wake up and go, oh yes, something happened during the night and I became the healer. No, you were always the healer. Because Jesus lives in you, he empowers you. But there are a couple of things, there are 3 points I just want to bring out this morning on how we can be the healer to the community and to the people around our life. The number one key, and it's the most important key of all, you need to be ready to listen to people's stories. You have to listen to the stories. You have to be able to listen to people's stories. I don't know about you, but you might have some friends like I have. When you start to try and tell them what's going on for you, they finish your conversation and tell you what's going on for you. Has anyone got a friend like that? I've got lots of friends like that, and they're awesome friends, but just listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying I don't need new shoes. I don't need that. I just need you to listen to what I'm saying. We need to be listeners. We need to hear people's story. Jesus was so awesome at that. He went up to the blind man. He He said to the blind man, he didn't just go, hang on, this is a blind man, I'm going to fix him up like we can do. There's someone with a lack, let me just give you what you need. He said to the blind man, what do you want? You and I go, well, he's blind. Yeah, but how often do we do the same thing? We just give a blind man a new pair of glasses without asking, what do you want? He gets to know them. He hears their story. What do you want? I actually want to see. Okay, I can work with that. It's working with people's stories. We need to hear people's stories. He said he didn't just, when the centurion came to him, he didn't just say, I'll pray for you, because he said, he listened to the story and realized that the centurion didn't need the help. It was his aide. It was his servant that was sick. We need to hear the stories. We need to listen to the stories. So key number one, listen to the stories as we are people, as we bring healing into people's lives. The number two key is so important, and we can't ever forget this key. The number two key is we need to understand that our power source is only Jesus. The power to heal flows through us. It is Jesus that flows through us to heal. You know, when we're talking to people and sometimes we can even feel that we're even a little clever on how we can help people. It's Jesus in you that brings healing. It's Jesus in you. In 1 Corinthians 12, it talks about the spiritual gifts. And you might have read it. It talks about the 9 spiritual gifts in there. And Paul is speaking to the people around him, and he's saying, hey guys, you grew up in a very corrupt world. You understand that this is how the world works. I want to show you how the spirit realm works. And he goes and speaks about 9 spiritual gifts. One of those spiritual gifts is healing. And then going down into verse 11, it says that the Spirit of God hands out the spiritual gifts as he feels fit. And so these spiritual gifts are available for us, and they are like the weapons of our warfare. They're like the weapons that we hold to do life with. Some of them are the prophetic gifts. Some of them are the utterance gifts, like gifts of knowledge, words of wisdom and prophetic. Some of them are action gifts. Some of them are miraculous gifts. These are all the gifts. But he is the source of all. Jesus is the source. He is the source. You remember that story in the Bible where Lazarus, a friend of Jesus, died. And Jesus wasn't with Mary and Martha when Lazarus died. He was away, and when he heard he died, he started to make his way back to where they were. But before he could do a miracle, he came to Mary and he said this very, very powerful verse. And it's here in Matthew 11. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. Whoever believes in me will live even if he dies. And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. And he asked Mary this question, do you believe this? He wanted to establish in her, does she really know who he is? Does she really know he's the power source, that everything flows from heaven through him into us and into others? Does she know? So he said, I am the resurrection and life. I am everything pertaining to life. Even if you die, you don't die if you know who I am. Do you believe this? For us to move into a place of being a healer, we need to not only believe this in our head, we need to live with this in our heart. He is life everlasting. He is a giver of all life. He is the source that we utilize when we're with our friends and our neighbours, when we are in that place of healing. He is that source that we draw on. It is not you. It's not my clever words. It's not my way I do things. It is Him and Him alone that brings healing. And number three, the number three key of being a healer of our community and of individuals is that we are called to live life together. We are called to journey life together. Healing isn't an event. It is a process. If you would have known me as a kid, you'd know that hopefully at the age of 53, there has been healing that has occurred. But as we journey together, and there's many of us that have journeyed together for a long time in this room, and there's many of us that have just started to journey together. But we're in this healing process together. At times, Jeanette is my healer. At times, Roger is my healer. At times, Rob over there is my healer. At times, it could be Ray, it could be Steve, it could be any of us. We're all each other's healer. But it's understanding these few principles, that He is our source. He is our source. It's hearing what you've got to say. It's hearing the stories, Jesus being the source, and me deciding that I want to journey with you, John, in life. And I'm not going to move away because the story doesn't suit my story. We're committed to each other because that's what solidarity is. It is a band of brothers and sisters coming together saying, we want the same thing. We want Jesus magnified. We want our community released into life. And it's because of you and me that happens. You are a healer. Have you ever thought of that before? You are a healer. We're going to play a song at the moment, and we're just going to have a bit of a soaking time. But just as this song plays, I want you to speak those words around your head. You are a healer. You're a healer. Then we're going to break up into groups, and I'm going to just get you to ask one question, and then we're going to pray for everybody.
I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails. with me, and all my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire in my darkest night. You were close like no other. I've known you as a father. I've known you as a friend. Oh, I have lived in the goodness of God. Oh, and all my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Yeah, so good. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I'm surrendered now. I give you everything. 'Cause your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I'm surrendered now. I give you everything. 'Cause your goodness is running, it keeps running after me. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Oh, I will sing of the goodness of God.
Thank you, Jesus. So be the healer. Number one, listen to their story. Listen to the story of the people that we're helping, we're bringing in to healing. Number two, realize that Jesus is the only power source you and I have. He's the only power source. And number 3, commit to the journey. Go on the journey of life with each other. Don't give up on anyone. Don't give up on those that seem to drag you down or seem to go different directions. Keep at it. Love on people. Commit to them. Commit to them and their journey. We're going to break up into our groups. And the first question, there's one question we're going to ask. And the question is, this is a really vulnerable question. Where do you need healing? So the facilitator or the person in the group will ask you, where do you think you need healing in your life? And you might be thinking, well, I don't need any healing. Well, that's a good place to start. But you can start anywhere you like. You might have physical in your body. You might need, there's been some stuff that's been happening with my mum, my dad, in my relationships. What healing do you need in your life? And the next, after everyone's done that, then we're just going to pray for each person in our life as the healer, utilizing the power of Jesus. We pray for the power of Jesus to bring healing in your life.